Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale. Yes, we go. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti
Bluetooth mode.
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodar Radhe. Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Subhadra, Jaya Sudarshan, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jai Gauranitai, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. Hari Ram Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dekshitare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this session, this Bhagavad Gita session, and we are doing chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. So, three things we are discussing in this chapter. We are discussing about nature, we are discussing about soul and super soul. Soul and super soul means enjoyer, super soul is enjoyer. And basically having understanding of these three subject matter, living entity, super soul, both are living, both are personality, both are spiritual. And this material nature, the functionalities of material nature and their relationship, living entity, super soul and nature, these three things, if we understand the nature and functionality of these three things, then we can develop detachment from material and develop attachment to spiritual or attachment to Krishna. And that is what we are doing here. We are practicing Krishna consciousness to elevate our consciousness. Right now, consciousness is contaminated with material modes, mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. We have lots of material desire, we have lots of attachment to so many material things, right? And that attachment is the cause of suffering, as per Bhagavad Gita. As much we are attached to the material things, material desire, we are bound to suffer. Because when we hanker for some material things and we try hard to achieve that, and once we achieve that, first of all, it's very difficult to achieve whatever we desire. It's not always that our desire is going to be fulfilled. So many other factors working. So we have lots of desire and we try our best to fulfill that desire. Sometimes it is fulfilled, sometimes it is not. When it is fulfilled, we develop more desire to get it, more hankering. And then, again, more and more we want. And if desire is not fulfilled, then we become frustrated. That creates lots of other problems like anger. So ultimately, if you see attachment to material objects or sense gratification, that is the source of suffering. Why it is source of suffering? Because when we have material desire, as per Srimad Bhagavatam, nunam pramatte kurute vikarma, when we are having lots of material desire, knowingly, unknowingly, we are bound to commit sinful activities. Knowingly, unknowingly. Sometimes we know, and we know that something is bad, but still we do that activity because of deeper attachment to sense gratification. We want to get that particular, or we want to fulfill a particular desire, specific desire, and to fulfill that desire, if attachment level is very deep, means if we have a very strong desire to get something, in that case we do not bother about whether the approach we are taking is right or wrong. So that is because of the attachment, because of the intensity of the desire, we commit activity or sinful activity. So today's topic, basically we will discuss about the material nature. We have discussed about soul, we have discussed about super soul, the nature of super soul, the qualities of super soul. Like in this verse number 29, no, not 29, let me see. Like we could see what is the nature, what is the functionality of super soul. That is Upadrashta Anumanta. And we could see that in this material world, that is verse number 23. Why we are suffering? Why we don't want suffering, but still we are suffering, and we know the reason behind, the cause behind it is our material desire. So, and that is what our limitations. This being soul, we can desire, but ultimately that desire will be fulfilled by sanctioning authority, that is super soul. Until super soul sanction that desire, we cannot fulfill that. I mean, sanction is required. And material nature, that is simply executing as per the instruction, as per the sanction by super soul. Material nature is just functioning or just executing that desire. And that desire, again, we know that will be fulfilled based on our previous karmic account. It's not that every desire is going to be fulfilled, right? So these are the things we have already discussed in detail. So why this understanding is required? Because once we know that we are not the controller, there are other different factors which is working behind. So we will not be attached to the result. And we will not be attached to the result. If we are trying, if we are doing something and we are attached to the fruits of that action, then we are bound to suffer. Sometimes we will get it, sometimes we will not. So the same thing I am discussing about. If we get it, we become happy, we want more. If we do not get it, we become frustrated. But if we know that I am not the only doer, there are other factors, super soul is there, material nature is there, right? So if we have this understanding, then our approach will be very different. We will do our best, but we will not be attached to the result, right? And we will take right approach, because we know that if we take wrong approach, that is going to become a cause of suffering. Because maybe temporarily or for some instant gratification or we may get result externally, we can achieve something through wrong ways. But we know that ultimately that is going to be the cause of suffering. So this cause and effect we have to understand. This is what material nature, cause and effect. So this kind of knowledge will help us to develop right approach and to take right process, means accepting right process and working or doing our best, and not being attached to the result of the action. That is one benefit we get, right? And also we become very humble, because we know that I am not the controller. God is controller, super soul, Paramatma is controller. And He is the sanctioning authority, observing our every thoughts, our every activity. Also we become alert not to commit sinful activities, right? So all these understanding, spiritual understanding, will help us to elevate or to advance in Krishna consciousness, purify our consciousness. Otherwise you see people in material world not knowing these facts, they are engaged in all sorts of sinful activities because they want immediate benefit. They do not bother about their consciousness, they do not bother about their future. They just think that, okay, by hook or by crook, no, just fulfill the desire. Just for sense gratification, whatever you can do, just do that. So this kind of mentality is the root cause of suffering. Because of ignorance, they think for immediate result, they think for immediate sense pleasure, and for that they are committing sinful activities. They do not know it, like intoxication or all sorts of sinful activities they are engaged in. So that is not the source of enjoyment. We know from Bhagavad Gita. Sense gratification is not the source of enjoyment. Dukh yonaya evate. It's a source of suffering. So this kind of knowledge, this spiritual understanding will help us to come out of such kind of sources of happiness, sense pleasure. We will develop real source of happiness. That is a spiritual way of happiness. So this knowledge is very, very important. So we have already discussed about the different qualities of super soul. And verse number 28, it is mentioned, one who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understand that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. The true seer. Who is the true seer? True seer means knowledgeable person. One who can see what is what. That's what means. With this knowledge, we can very easily understand what is reality. This material existence, this material body is temporary. This is knowledge. Understanding the nature of this material world. This is knowledge. This is temporary. There are so many changes happening. Body is changing. Body is not permanent. This is knowledge. So having this kind of knowledge will help us to see the reality. Soul is eternal. And yes, neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed. So we know this. Soul, super soul is spiritual. It never destroyed. Only body is changing, right? Body is transmigrating from one body to another. Soul is transmigrating from one body to another. Yes, this is material nature. So if we have this knowledge, then we will not be attached to this body. Attached to this body. Attached to this body means we will care about it, but we will understand that this is a medium, this is an instrument to take the soul to the final destination. So we will utilize it. We will take care of it and we will utilize it maximum for spiritual consciousness. Otherwise, people not having this understanding of spiritual journey, they are simply attached to the body, and throughout the life they are living for their body. They think that this body is all in all, and whatever they are doing just to maintain this body, just to keep this body happy or satisfying their senses, right? One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. So true seers, the knowledgeable person, they see super soul in everyone's body. They can see that super soul is everywhere in every living being. Yes. And does not degrade himself by his mind. What does it mean? Does not degrade his mind. When we know that every living entity, there is super soul. Every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna, right? So we will have respect for others, right? Unnecessarily we will not like people in the name of, just for their taste, they're killing animals, no? So this is what, we can say degradation or developing greed or developing enviousness, this kind of thing will not happen if we know that, okay, Paramatma is there in everyone's heart. Otherwise, if we do not have this understanding, so material consciousness means I and mine. We will just become selfish. We will think of self only, and we will not bother about others. Just to enjoy or just to get desires fulfilled, we will disturb others. This is material consciousness. They do not think about others. They just fulfill their own desire. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Right? So this is another philosophical aspect. Actual doer. Who is actual doer? Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasya ahankar vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Out of ignorance, we think that I am the doer. Yes. But ultimately it is being performed by the modes, by the material nature. Because we have this material body is functioning due to the influence of Three modes of material nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. We are being influenced by that. Yes. So we cannot say that we are not at all doer. We are living entity is also a doer, but our doing is limited with desire. We only can desire, and super soul sanctions, and based on that sanction, then the material nature is functioning. This body is functioning actually. So ultimately, point is the soul is. This is a little bit philosophical. Understand? Soul has nothing to do with this material world, with this material body. Soul is totally apart from this, totally detached from this. Right now, in conditioned state, we are attached with this body. We think I am this body. And spiritual practices means we have to develop this consciousness that I am not this body. I am soul, pure spiritual soul. Right now, I am encased in this body, and because of my material desire. So this understanding, developing this understanding means, then if I know that this body is just a kind of covering for the time being, maybe as long I am in this material world, I am not this body, I am detached from this body, then I will engage myself in spiritual activities. The duty of the soul, that will be our priority. There are two kinds of duties, right? One is duty towards body and one is duty towards soul. And we know that we are soul. Our real purpose of this life is spiritual, right? So we will take care of body, but we will be more focused on a spiritual journey, on a spiritual part, on spiritual activities. Now, whichever the activities which is helping me to experience that true self and function in that nature. That is our priority. That is what is spiritual way of life. Yes. Otherwise, if we do not have this understanding, then body, nobody bothers about spiritual life. Nobody is knowing about the purpose of life, destination of life. And they are just engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, defending. They are not knowing that ultimately this body will be finished one day. They are not utilizing it. They are doing so much, but they are not utilizing it for the ultimate purpose. Just for a small game, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, just for some sensory pleasure. They are using or misusing. Why I am saying misusing? Because Srimad Bhagavatam says this is misuse. Human form of life, this human body is meant for some special purpose. And that purpose is very, very high. That is a spiritual purpose. So when we have this priority, automatically the kind of sense pleasure we are looking for, that will automatically be there. It's not that when we lead a spiritual way of life, a Krishna conscious life, there is no joy. No. Material joy is just a pleasure. When we say material joy means it's an absence of suffering. What people are doing in this material world, they are just trying hard to get out of suffering. Every individual is suffering, and they are trying their best through so many ways to get rid of sufferings, pain. So once you are free from that particular pain, we think that means somebody is trying to get out of some pain. Once there is no pain, they think that I'm happy now. So absence of pain is happiness in this material world. Is it clear? Absence of pain. Whatever technological development we see, economical development, whatever facilities, why it is? So much security system, why it is? So that there should not be any pain. So absence of pain is happiness. Right? In one sense, we can say that, okay, that is a little bit, whatever sensory perceptions or sensory enjoyment is there, it gives us some kind of pleasure, bodily pleasure, right? Mental pleasure. That is okay. But when we say spiritual pleasure or spiritual joy or bliss, that is very, very different. That is beyond this. So when we come in a spirituality or a spiritual way of life, that joy is very, very different. Bliss is different. Happiness is different. Pleasure is different, right? So pleasure is like a sense perception, some sensory perception, enjoying senses. Happiness may be absence of pain. That is kind of happiness. Okay, I'm peaceful, no pain, right? But bliss, ananda, that is something beyond peace, beyond happiness. So a spiritual way of life means leading a life of bliss, natural way of life, not unnatural way of life. Living in our natural state at the platform of soul, at the platform, this is called transcendental platform. So uh, ultimately, yes, as long as we are in this material world, due to the influence of the three modes of material nature and our desire, uh, we are being influenced, or we have a particular thought, particular desire, and based on that, we are forced to act in that way. So when a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to Brahman conception. Means when we see that only the difference of body is there, all these living entities, maybe of any country, maybe of any living entity, animals or birds, beasts, anywhere. So there is a soul within, and that soul is part and parcel of Krishna. There's no difference in soul. It's not that elephant body has a different soul, or human body or ant body has a different soul. Soul is same in every bodies, right? So that is what. So when a sensible man ceases to see different identities, why different identity we see? Like people comparing, I'm from this country, I'm from that country, or they see differences in living entities. So that is because of not having the knowledge of soul. When we have knowledge of soul, then we do not see the body. We do not compare based on the body. We understand maybe different people, different bodies are there, but the soul is same. So that is because of bodily conception of life. We differentiate, we compare. So attains to the Brahman conception. Brahman conception means a spiritual conception, transcendental Krishna consciousness, that is called. We know that every individual, every living entity, uh, there's a soul. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. So one who has realized that I'm not this body, I'm soul, I'm spiritual. So maybe being in this body, still he is liberated. Right now, in material conception or bodily conception of life, we think I'm this body. But somebody who is liberated, what is the difference? Somebody liberated. Most of the time people think that liberation means when you die, you are liberated. But even in life condition, in this physical body, you can become liberated. So what is the meaning of that liberation? When you experience that you are not this body, you are soul, when you understand it, when you experience it, right? That is Jivera Swarup Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das, understanding our eternal position, that I am servant of the Lord, I am spiritual, I am part and parcel of Krishna. So this understanding and realization is called liberation. Being absorbed in Brahman. Absorbed in Brahman means understanding your natural state. So that is called liberation. So if we do not have this understanding, spiritual understanding, then we will keep on comparing, competing, like people fight in the name of country, in the name of caste, color, creed. So this is just because of bodily concept of life. But the moment we accept this spiritual consciousness, there is no pain, there is no fight, comparison. Those who sees with eyes of knowledge and difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So this is the last shloka. Those who sees with eyes of knowledge. What is the vision of knowledge? Vision of knowledge means the knowledge we received, the knowledge we have received right now. And when we see from that eye, when we see every individual as soul, when we understand that within every individual's heart there is a super soul, right? This is knowledge. And understanding the nature of this material world, functionality, nature, and how the soul is transmigrating from one body to another. This is knowledge. So when we see with the eyes of knowledge, the difference between the body and the knower of the body, means body and soul, difference between body and soul, and can also understand the process of liberation. What is the process of liberation? What is the process of liberation?
Knowledge.
Yes, knowledge. Knowledge, what is that knowledge? What is that process?
I'm not this body.
I'm not this body, this is knowledge. Knowledge we have received. And the process of knowledge.
Devotional service.
Devotional service. When we practice, simply knowing will not help. Simply knowing that I am soul and I'm part and parcel of super soul, God. This is knowledge, right? Knowing that this material world is temporary, but soul is eternal. No, this I do not belong to this place. This is foreign land. Material world is not my place. Because I am spiritual, I have my spiritual kingdom, the abode, the God's abode. That is my natural state. That is my place. And I have to go there. So there is a process for that. And that process is devotion. Because of enviousness, we come to this material world. Because we rejected God, and because of that, we come to this material world. We accept a material body, and we go through the cycle of suffering, right? The cycle of karmic reaction. One action, then we get reaction for that. Then because of that, we develop sinful propensity to do another action, sinful activity. Again we do, again reaction. So this cycle of action and reaction goes on. So we have to break the cycle of action and reaction. Karmic reaction, that is, right? Sinful activities. So this Krishna consciousness is the process to break the cycle, right? And this knowledge will help us to stop this cycle and develop a spiritual consciousness. Yeah. So liberation from the bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So supreme goal is Krishna consciousness. Supreme goal is love of Godhead, right? So like I said, enviousness is the root cause of suffering, or root cause why we came to this material world. So what is the opposite to enviousness? Opposite to enviousness? Hatred. Hatred, love. So because of hatred, we came to this material world. So we have to change it. We have to redirect it. We have to change our consciousness, develop our consciousness. Means we have to learn love, how to love Krishna. And this is Bhakti Yoga. This is what Krishna consciousness is. We are simply learning how to love Krishna. This one activity is the purpose of all other different activities we are doing. Either it may be chanting, reading, hearing, coming in association with devotees. Simply we are purifying our heart, purifying our consciousness from material to spiritual. Material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. This is elevation. This is progress. And to meet this purpose, to meet this purpose, first of all, we have to develop this knowledge, and we have to then practice in right atmosphere, in right association. And this practice may take time. It's all about how much sincere we are. It's all about our sincere desire. Lolyam hi ekalam mulyam. How we can get Krishna. It's not just activity, but how much intense desire we have to get Krishna. That is very, very important. Right? Sometimes we may keep on practicing for long, so for so many years, but we do not experience it. It is not because of sometimes we think that, okay, I'm following this process, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness, I'm chanting, reading, hearing, being in association with devotees, but still I'm not experiencing. So it's not that there is some fault in the process, because apart from activity, the intention is very, very important. And that's why this discussion helps us. When we are doing this activity, what should be the mood? What should be our sincere desire for? Right? Every morning, I think this 5 minutes or 10 minutes of discussion helps us a lot. Morning chanting, japata, it helps us a lot. Because this is what we discuss in chanting. Yes? That what should really be the mood behind. Do we have that sincere desire to get Krishna? Do we feel Krishna need in our life? How much we have? Huh?
Yes, we need.
Because this is what advancement. Because of conditioning, we do not have desire for Krishna. Krishna means bliss. Krishna means happiness, whatever you say. Krishna is the source of all rasas. He is the source of all bliss. And we all need bliss, right? Because there's a subtle, we have become envious to God. People are ready to accept anyone and everyone. But when it comes to God, it's very difficult to accept. They do not want to accept God. And why it is happening? Because we have some enviousness. Very subtle. It's very difficult. Even when we discuss about it, it's very difficult to understand how come we are envious to God. We are envious to God. For so long, for so many lifetimes in this material world, we have been away from Krishna and we have been doing against Krishna. Against Krishna means just following our mind, our material desires, just to fulfill our sense, our material desires. We forget Krishna. And this is in every scripture you see, like many times I have discussed about. If you go through Bible, you get the same story. Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden. What is the story behind? How come happened? Because of enviousness. So it is mentioned in Bible like God created this world in 6 days. First day, just there was only maybe only darkness was there. Then he desired, and then first day there was maybe sky, then air, then water, then the living entities, different creatures, bird, beast, everything. And the 6th day, he created human beings, Adam, Eve. So they were living happily over there, and God created a paradise. And he said that, okay, you can enjoy this. You can be happy. Whatever is there, it is all yours. This is the facility in heaven, especially for us, spiritual kingdom. Because we are part and parcel of God. God is our Father. So He created all the facilities. Whatever is required, He created everything. He said, you enjoy this. You be happy here. Follow the instruction and be happy here. And He gave one instruction, that you can enjoy everything, whatever is there, but one tree, this apple tree, do not eat apple from there. Just one instruction. Do this and do not do this. And one day, Eve, she was there near that tree, and one snake, the evil, and that snake, she started talking to Eve, and he said, God has given you some instruction. And Eve, she said, yes. God said, we can enjoy everything here, but not this fruit. And that snake, he said, I know why he is stopping you. No, he is envious to you. He does not want to enjoy. He does not want you to enjoy. You know why he is stopping you not to eat this apple? The reason, if you eat this apple, you will also become God. You will become master, you will become God. And that's why he is stopping you. So out of this influence, this is what Maya Shakti. The snake means Maya Shakti. Maya will influence you. It will give you so many reasons not to follow Krishna. So many reasons. So Eve, what she did? She ate the apple. And the moment she ate, the sexual desires developed. The difference, duality is developed. Good, bad. Because that tree was the tree of knowledge, knowledge of good and bad. So this is called duality, happiness and distress, joy and suffering, good and bad. This duality is not there in a spiritual kingdom. Dvanda. This duality is in material world. And Bhagavad Gita we learn. Dvanda mohena bharata. So the moment we become, we come to this material world, we are influenced by the dualities of this material world. Good, bad, me, mine. So this conception is a spiritual mindset, a spiritual way of, material conception. Material conception means me and mine, good and bad. But in a spiritual kingdom, everything is good. There is no bad. But the moment the Eve ate that apple, because of that, she developed duality. The Eve, she was female, and she convinced Adam. She convinced that. I got to know about why God is stopping us not to eat this apple, because you will become God. I ate that, and you can also enjoy. And Adam also followed the instruction, and means he was also influenced with. So and both of them earlier they were living very happily, because in a spiritual kingdom they had their spiritual body very very pure hearted. But now they developed duality. Okay, you are female, I am male, and they developed some desire. When God came over there, they started hiding. We are naked. So God asking, why you are hiding yourself? So because they developed this
knowledge.
we are naked, she is female, I am male, this kind of. Wherefore you got to know about it. And then the whole picture, hey, God is all known, So finally, because this is the story there in Bible. So the point over here is, because whatever reason means now, because they were not in a spiritual consciousness, they developed some kind of enviousness. They wanted to become master, they wanted to become Lord, enjoyer, and because of that mentality, Lord said, no, now you cannot stay back here. You go to the material world. Because that is the place of duality. That is the place. So because you have not followed the instruction, so you go back there. And so many other things are there, but we are not going. That's a kind of, it seems like God is cursing, but our God is not like cursing. He is all lovable. Out of love, because when we become envious, we become kind of like when son, he is not ready to accept the father or not ready to follow the father. No, then sometimes father says, okay, if you want to go your own way, go there, no problem. But again, he makes some arrangements so that you come back. So this material design, this material world is designed in such a way, all the arrangements in this material world is means this is Lord's arrangement. And the purpose of this creation or design is to get us back home, back to Godhead. Understand that this place is not a place of joy. This place is not meant for us. But out of attachment, we are not ready to go out of it. We become satisfied. Okay, sometimes happening, some suffering, sometimes happiness. Okay, let it go, like, right? So when we get suffering, that suffering is a reminder. In so many ways, God is reminding us, no, this place is not for you. Even through scripture, no, as a Chaitya Guru within heart, he reminds us. As external, externally we are seeing through scripture, through Guru, we come to know about the real purpose of our life, how we can always be blissful, how we can develop our spiritual consciousness, this knowledge we are getting from. So these are all reminders. Even sufferings in our life, or we are growing old, that is also kind of reminder. We are coming closer to death. Let's be serious. Let's understand the real purpose of life, and let's do whatever is required to get this purpose. Yes. So means as soon as we understand this and we start practicing that consciousness or living in that consciousness, that is our success. Maybe slow, fast, no worry. No, that does not matter. Yeah, we must know that there is an ideal situation and we have less time. So in less time, we have to do more so that we can achieve that. Otherwise, in our mental concoction or calculation or here and there, so many things, so many logics will be there, and we are simply wasting our time. Ayur harati vapumsam udyanastan asavapi. So one day the sun is setting or means rising and setting means we are one day closer to death. All our calculation will fail because we are coming closer to death. So having faith in a scripture, taking shelter of authority, that will save us. Does not matter how much time we have right now. But if we accept this, the knowledge we are receiving from Krishna, from Bhagavad Gita, if we accept it and simply take shelter and start practicing, for sure there's success. We will be free from this material entanglement, and not only we will be free, as long as we are here in this material body, we will become transcendental. We will become detached from this material body and lead a blissful spiritual life, Krishna conscious life. Yes. So yesterday there was a talk show. It was especially the similar topic, but misconception. People practice spirituality for so many reasons. One reason, people think that okay, there will be no problem in life.
They'll get all comforts.
There will be no suffering in life. No. So we have to, we have to understand the reality. Suffering is a part of this life. But why this suffering is there? The suffering is for a special purpose, and that is to bring us closer to Krishna. To understand and realize that this place is not meant for us. Do not belong to this. Some thinker, he said like, if you have some desire and you know that that desire is not being fulfilled in this material world, it means you belong to some other world. For example, we all want happiness and we all trying to be happy over here, right? In this material world. But nobody is happy in this material world. And if we belong to this material world, why we are having some desire which is not there? The desire we all have to become happy, to become always blissful, right? To develop, to have love within heart. But that is not there in this material world. It means we belong to some other place. That is a spiritual kingdom. We belong to that. So, Krishna again and again, whatever knowledge he is giving us, the only purpose is to develop attachment to him, towards him, and develop detachment to this material world. So, different ways of learning we have discussed. There are people, they learn by experience. That's very expensive. Learning by experience. That's a good way of learning. Learning by experience. It takes lots of time. But the best learners, they learn by seeing, by hearing the authority. Yes, 3 ways of learning. One, learning by seeing others. One is hearing. Just hear the authority, authentic scriptures, and know the reality of life and practice that, accept it, practice it, and lead a better, beautiful way of life. That is good, easy. For that, you do not have to become very much qualified. You don't have to do any kind of PhD. Just hear from authority. Have faith in Guru, a spiritual master, and his scriptures. Hear attentively and practice it. Your life is beautiful. You don't have to do lots of calculation. And another way of learning is by seeing others. When we do not learn from authority, from Guru, then we learn by seeing others. We see others suffering, why they are suffering, and what is the reason, and we learn from there. But even by seeing, sometimes people do not learn by seeing others. They think, okay, I am something special. I will do it. No, like nobody is happy in this material world. the approach they are taking. Means this is what's seeing. No, we see that everybody, they are doing their best. They are doing lots of, earning lots of money. So much technological advancement, economical development, so much facilities, but still they are suffering. Stress, anxiety is there, but still we are taking the same approach. No, I will become happy one day. Even Albert Einstein, he said, the mind which creates the problem cannot solve the problem. Means, but with the same mind, you know, you created the problem. With the same mind, you cannot solve the problem. So material problem cannot be solved by material approach. Understand this. All material problem can be solved only by spiritual ways. We need to take a different approach. And that approach we are learning from Bhagavad Gita. Understanding this overall concept, this knowledge. And then we will take right approach and lead a better life. Free from stress, anxiety, liberated from all sufferings. Suffering means those disturbances. We will be free from. Externally, problem will be there in this material world. But we will not be touched, or we will not be disturbed with those problems. Momentary emotions, that will be there, but you will not be disturbed. What does it mean when I say you will not be disturbed? Devotees are not disturbed. What does it mean? You will not have emotions?
Instead of reacting, they will start
Responding. Because when we know the reality, we will not unnecessarily react. Unnecessarily, we will not question. No, we will not criticize. What is this? Why it is happening? No, God is so unfavorable. Why He is doing like this? Rejected. That will not happen. Then we'll understand the bigger purpose, the bigger picture behind that, and we will develop humility. We will develop compassion for self, for others. We will understand, we will realize the truth, the knowledge we are receiving, and then we will realize whatever we are experiencing in life. Based on that, we will realize the truth and take a better approach, advance in Krishna consciousness. Ultimate success is not our material achievement. Even if we become the biggest or the richest person of the world, we have all the facilities, everything. Jesus Christ saying that what is the use when you lose the soul? All material gain. What is the use of that material gain when you lost your soul? Means the real purpose of life is soul, spiritual achievement. So we should not ignore it. That is our eternal, that is what our real purpose of life. And a spiritual way of life means this will make us truly happy, because if we try to satisfy ourselves in different means and different ways, or just by satisfying our body, if we think we become happy, that is never ever going to be. We have limitation. How much we can satisfy body? Just imagine how long and how much you can satisfy your body. Yes. Today we can enjoy gulab jamun, but how long? So temporary. Yes. Ultimately you have to give up. If you do not want to give up, you will be forced to give up. How long? Okay, young body is there, we are enjoying so much. But then the body will grow old. And that we will not be able to fulfill that desire. That will lead towards frustration. I've seen so many even old people, because of their way of life, they develop so many desires. Maybe eating samosas, I see one. And in old age, even doctor asking not to eat anything fried, or that is not good for you. But because of that intense desire, because of that practice, not able to stop eating samosas and suffering. Why I'm giving the example of samosa, I personally seen. I saw that. Somebody struggling, suffering, but could not stop. Ultimately, why I'm saying, first of all, we have to understand that material sense enjoyment has a limitation. It's not permanent, it's temporary. It's a source of suffering. So we should enjoy in a spiritual way of life. A spiritual way of life does not stop you to eat samosa, does not stop you to eat gulab jamun. Means you are still enjoying, but you are detached. Means a regulated way of life. Spirituality, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is What he is teaching, he is not teaching us to give up everything. He is teaching us a regulated way of life. How to regulate your sleep, how to regulate your eating habits, how to regulate your work, work-life balance. Ultimate purpose is developing love. Why regulated way of life? So that we can physically, mentally, we we can become fit. And if we are fit enough, then of course we can devote body, mind, we can engage that in service of Krishna. Means in loving relationship or a reciprocation. If we are not fit physically, mentally, there's no question of service. How can you serve? How can you develop love for Krishna? So that's why all these teachings Krishna is giving, but ultimately the purpose is to develop love for Krishna. So we are so fortunate that we have received this knowledge, we have received the process, and the process is so simple and sublime. Every morning just wake up, take bath, and just with fresh mind chant the holy name, remember God, remember Krishna, and whatever teachings he is giving, just be equipped with that knowledge, so that throughout the day you be on always be on transcendental platform. Nothing should disturb you. What he said, what he did, somebody said, somebody did, should not disturb. We should know that ultimately, that person is influenced by the three modes of material nature. He is not the actual doer. No, it is. All these are spiritual consciousness, a spiritual way of life. Do not get hurt. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. We have to always be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Somebody is respecting you, not respecting you, do not bother about. And this is what the teaching we get early in the morning. Trinadapi sunichena. This is the crux of all the teachings Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving in one verse. What should be the quality of devotee? Trinadapi. Trinadapi means being humble, lower than a grass on the street. Means we should be that much humble. And we should become tolerant like a tree. Tolerant like a tree means whatever people saying, do not bother about. Just think, just know that he is influenced by the three modes. Actually, he is a good person. He is a soul, pure soul. He is part and parcel of God. But because of this material conditioning, because of the influence of the three modes of material nature, the person is behaving or acting like that. Tolerate. Or avoid. At least do not react so that you disturb your consciousness. Sometimes, this is another topic, but point is, we have to avoid as much we can. Advancement in Krishna consciousness, one is advanced devotee, the quality of advanced devotee, one quality, he never wastes his time. He never wastes his time. So we don't have to engage in all kinds of discussions, which is simply wasting our time. The discussions which is helping us to advance in Krishna consciousness, that is real utilization of time. And if we simply discussing or gossiping here and there, criticizing, prajalpa that is called, that is waste of time. Not only wasting time, but we are polluting our consciousness. So we should always avoid prajalpa. Yes? When we meet, we should discuss about how is your, yes, we are asking about the health, but the purpose of asking about the health is, real purpose is Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious health. How is your chanting going on? What about your reading or hearing? Are you able to practice? How can we help each other? This is real discussion. Or discussing about Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities, that is real discussion. Even we are doing job, business, always thinking about Krishna. How I can engage, how I can surrender, or how I can dedicate this to Krishna. What are the instructions Krishna is giving? Following those instructions, how I can do my job better. Following those instructions, in that consciousness. This is Krishna conscious way of life. Means always Krishna is with me. He is guiding me, he is instructing me like he is doing with Arjuna. And I'm doing my job, I'm doing my business. So this is utilization of time. Means this is your real time. So yes, time we should not waste, and attitude, we should never compromise with that. Consciousness, we should never compromise with that. For some external achievement, for some immediate benefit, we should not lose our permanent goal. No, just for temporary, flickering benefit, we should not compromise with the ultimate goal of life, Krishna consciousness. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Any question we can discuss?
Thank you so much.
This 13th chapter.